I want to say a few words on behalf of ECAWAR. I think that Zachariah, when he very eloquently said how the Harper government refuses to be accountable to the people, and even takes a certain pride in saying that they refuse to be accountable to us. So this means that we have to hold them accountable. We have to hold them accountable. They will not be accountable to us. So how are we going to hold them accountable? Listen, let's not divert ourselves with somebody who's come to create a diversion. Okay, let's look at the situation we're in here. On August the 2nd, when the House Committee on Foreign Affairs met and passed a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire, the Conservative government opposed it. They consciously stood with the U.S., who for 30 days refused to permit any solution, any ceasefire to happen, in order to carry out their designs for the Middle East. We talked here several weeks ago about how Israel was trying to prepare a new Nakba, how Israel was trying to prepare a new catastrophe and drive the people out of Lebanon and partition Lebanon. And today we can say that they failed. The Lebanese people have stood as one, and the world's people have stood with them. And they have stood for the integrity of their country, for the right of their people to live in peace, without occupation, without violence, without aggression. And we stand with that. And what has the Harper government said about that? When Samir spoke, I think he reflected everybody's sentiment that it did not pass, this attempt by the U.S. using Israel to say that resistance is banned, that no people can resist foreign occupation and aggression. This was the international law that they wanted to put in with this. And so you had Harper coming and saying that Hezbollah was a cancer. But he cannot open his mouth about the crimes of the Israelis. So what is it that we have to do in time to come? We have to keep marching, we have to keep protesting, we have to keep demonstrating. But we also have to come together and determine that we want a government in Canada which is going to be a force for peace in this world. Together we are going to ensure that that anti-war government can come into being in Canada. And so what kind of government would an anti-war government be?
Not Harvard.
First of all, that will be a government which defends international law. That will be a government which defends human rights. How shameful that yesterday when the UN Human Rights Commission found that Israel has committed war crimes and that it's launching an investigation into these war crimes, instead of Canada standing there and saying that the war criminals must be prosecuted, they must be brought to trial, they voted against the resolution.
Boo!
We cannot permit such a thing. We cannot permit that this is what the stand that the government of Canada is going to take. Imagine calling those who defend their country a cancer, while those who commit aggression you call democracy. So let's talk about this idea that Israel is a democracy. Why doesn't Canada adhere to all the United Nations resolutions which say that before Israel can join the United Nations and be considered anything but a rogue state, that first it has to recognize the right of return? Did you notice all these articles in the newspaper, people trying to suggest how it is that the Palestinians left Israel? They did it of their own choice and all this. And so I said to myself, well, fine, even if we accepted this fiction as truth, then why can't they go back? If they were never expelled, What is to stop the people from exercising their right of return? So we want a government which will stand for such things. Israel was not even to join the United Nations until it adhered to its own borders. And we want an end to the occupations. We want an end to the prisoners. We want a government which will stand for human rights, which will stand for justice, which will oppose all of those in this world who want to use violence and force to solve conflicts between people. And we will have to bring it into being.
Right.
So as we go here today, we have to take that question into wherever we are, amongst our peers, amongst our fellow students, our fellow workers, wherever we are. We have to take these questions and begin the discussions. How are we going to establish that government in Canada which will be a force for peace, which will stand against the use of force? This is the mission which we have to take up. So that's what I want to leave you with here today. I want to express my deep appreciation on behalf of ECAWAR to all the speakers and to all the people who've worked so tirelessly over the last months. As the other speakers have said, we have to keep it up. We have to keep up this fight. It's a just fight, and we are going to win. We are going to win. Despite the terrible devastation and destruction which took place over the last month, those who stand for war and aggression gain nothing. They gained nothing. They gained the opposition of the peoples of the whole world. And so the last thing I want to say to you is that we have to be very vigilant. Several days ago, Lebanon dropped off the front page, and onto the front page came the news of the arrest of 24 people in Britain, and the announcement that this was the biggest terrorist plot ever. And I know that many, many, many people are saying, we are going to hold firm until we see the evidence. Because we keep hearing these plots, one after another, after another, after another. And we don't know. We know that all the people are found guilty before there's any evidence. We know that the front page news only becomes back page news if the people are released because they committed no crime and there was no evidence. But we do know one thing, that there is an effort to create a climate amongst Canadians, amongst the people of many, many countries, of fear that will allow them to destroy our rights, our liberties, our freedoms. And we can only defeat this by standing as one. We can only defeat it by defending those things which a human being must have in order to be human. And to fight that we want them for ourselves, that we want them for every human being on this earth. Thank you very much.